I got to go live on. It does Instagram now too. I think I go to my Instagram and hit.
You guys are in a jungle. You are
Well,
in
it
a
sounds like we're in a
jungle.
jungle.
Welcome everyone to the Kayak Adventure Series live stream. I'm your host, Billy Kayaks, Billy Chambers, and we're also here with the founder, the jungle man, the jungle leader. I'm not sure. We're going to come up with something to call him. Drew Gregory is here, of course.
What's up, guys?
Then,
is this where I'm supposed to make a monkey sound?
Yeah,
Some sort of wild.
You got to do that. So everyone, monkey sounds. Maybe there's prizes at the measure-ins for monkey sounds. And we're here with Jeff Little from Boondocks. Jeff Little has told us before we started recording that he will not be making any animal sounds. He put his foot down.
I did look like Tarzan when I had the long hair, so that works.
Yes. There you go, Jeff Little. We're going to kick this off. We have a pretty exciting show. We're going to do a lot of different things. We're going to spotlight some products. We have a couple cool segments that we're going to kick off for the first time. I think you guys are going to love them. We're going to bust some myths, a lot of cool things. But first, let's start with Lines In.
Lines In. We got to fix this graphic here, dude. Man, that's a bummer, guys. Yeah. Look, our Sunline. It's presented by Sunline. Lines In. So we're trying to get organized. If you guys can't tell, but obviously, and we could probably take that off our face, or we could switch this up. Maybe you can do it. Can we go 3 wide? How does this work down here at the bottom?
There
Maybe go 3 wide. But Lines In segment. There we go. It looks a little bit better. Lines In presented by Sunline. Makes sense, right? Lines In segment. This is just, hey, how's it going, guys? You guys having a good week? What's the latest? You ready for Christmas?
Yeah, it's just good to be home, man. Like I travel. I think last year in 22, it was 47% of the time I was away from home, and any time at home is good. So
oh yeah, always a good time, man. Always a good time. This is the part 2 where, guys, we just kind of like filibuster because people are still getting on. So
yeah,
kind of talk about whatever for a second. Billy, you're in the Christmas spirit, dude. I mean, look, Santa hat.
Yeah, well, Santa hat. Like, how can you not? It's December 20th. I have all the presents are wrapped. 4 kids, but they're all teenagers. So cat's out of the bag. They know Santa's not real. So I was able to get ahead of everything and wrap the presents. But I think the Christmas tree looks better with presents under it. So I know some people they'll wrap fake presents, like empty boxes, put them around the tree. What do you guys do, like around your Christmas tree? What do you?
Our tree is destroyed because we have cats. Like it's just like the lights are off of it. My wife put away all the ornaments. She's like, I give up. Like they've got it. They've won. I surrender. And there's no ornaments. There's lights though. It looks nice from the road, from the window, and that's about it. They are the ornaments. Like they're in there most of the time.
This is your house.
Well, I feel like
yes. Jeff Little's house.
Right. Yep.
The jungle.
Dr. Doolittle.
No, my Christmas is we got some presents under the tree, but if my 5-year-old's listening, I guess he knows Santa's not real now. Thanks, Billy. But he's probably not listening. Hopefully not. But anyway, no, they're all out. They're at music class. My daughter my 2-year-old has a music class. Theo's out of school, so he went there with her. So you're good. You're safe. You didn't ruin any big surprise for Santa. But yeah, man, presents under the tree wrapped, ready to roll. My wife is really good at getting it all done. We have like 30 Christmas trees in our house. No, I'm not kidding you. She is obsessed with making it, and it's a good thing. She makes it feel very magical and special. But my God, I got to carry like 15 bins from the basement upstairs to decorate this entire house. And it's like, man, it's all up for like a month, and I have to do like all this work. Like 2 weekends are spent just. It's all you do. I don't know. But I left my part on the outside, the lights on the outside of the house. Little tip, you get the little teeny lights that can hide inside the vinyl siding. I left them up all year long. You can't even tell they're there. I just said, forget it, man. I don't feel like taking them down. Left them up all year long. Anybody else do that?
No. Billy and I are both on the side of, oh, geez. Drew's one of those. Leaves the lights up here.
You said you can't see him, though.
I'll send you. You can't see him. You really can't. You can't. I mean, you can, but you can't. If you were close enough, you'd be like, wow.
If you've done this classy enough that people don't know that you're lazy enough just to leave them up year round, then I give you credit. But if they can see it and know, what's up, Drew, man? Like,
Yeah.
Dude, it's the ultimate triage. When you have a 2-year-old and a
I can just
5-year-old.
read Billy's face on that, and I'm like, yeah, you and I are in the same camp.
Yeah.
Hey, then,
Yeah.
while we're waiting on people to join in, Bass Dude was asking, Jeff, how many miles do you think you travel in a year?
My average is 40,000. It's I know it because at the beginning of working for Torquedo, we had the mileage of that used truck, the gray one, and we looked at getting the red one I have now just because I'd done the transmission and we just put a lot of money into it. Now my 16-year-old is driving it, but we looked at it and all right, what's the mileage you have now? And it was a little over 40,000. So last year wasn't quite as high. I did a little bit more staying close to home. I didn't quite do the number of dealer visits I've done in the past, but I know with this new position with Boondocks, that's going to crank up again. I also didn't have as many last year because the big trip, the really epic journey I had was out west with Jameson for his show Road Trip Angler, and did dealer visits and visited all the dealers from Sequim, Washington, all the way to San Diego. That wasn't in my vehicle, but those were miles, and I don't know what it was, but it was one of the funnest trips I've had. And both of our wives, at the end were like, "We're glad you're home. Are you sick of each other?" And we both looked at each other like, "No, we get along." Like it actually worked out well. And I think you have to have the right person to pull that off. But
guys can pull that off. 2 girls on a trip that long? Oh, no way. They would be.
I don't think all guys can pull it off.
Yeah, not all guys. Yeah, not all guys. But I think pretty much all girls, like almost 100% of girls, probably cannot pull a trip like that off and still be.
I give you a for instance, though. I give you a for instance, and this is my screw up on the trip. It was his setup, his trailer, his rig, and my kayak was on it and my gear, right? And when I get there, he's like, okay, this is your space to put your stuff in the truck. And obviously your kayak goes there, and then you'll have your side of like the external storage on the side of the truck. Anything you got to put in the cooler, it's ours, just fair game. And I would get in and out of it. And I think in that basically month, there were 4 times that I did not strap down his Orion cooler at all. And we got to this next place, and it could have bumped out and been gone. And, it was my just being, airheaded, like, yep, got my drink out of there, got distracted with something else. I did it 4 times. After the 4th time, he was like, hey, man, you really got to get better at this. I was like, yeah, I do. And that was the end of it. Like, there was no real friction, but like, I was like, yeah, I screwed up. He's like, yeah, you screwed up again. I'm like, okay. Again. And we moved on, and we weren't mad at each other. It was just,
because you understood.
It was diplomacy instead of like, oh man, I can't wait to not be in this vehicle with this guy. We didn't have that.
So his feelings were not the same that Jake Harshman has towards me.
Well,
yeah, basically.
Jake leans towards the more prickly, like he's confrontational, like he's a police officer, so he's gonna call you on things immediately.
Yeah,
I never realized Jake was a police officer. I don't know why I never realized that. That's cool, man. But speaking of Jameson, by the way, Jameson and Jake, hopefully Jake joins some KAS events as well. Yeah, I know the Suski's right there close to him, so maybe we'll see him at one. But anyway, but Jameson, I believe, will be at some of these as well. We talked about it. He said he'd like to come to some and potentially hold some of the American Canoe Association classes, since he's a certified instructor as well. So yeah, look forward to seeing Jameson and get him involved as well. And he's got that cool show, Road Trip Angler. So you guys go check it out. All right, moving on. Next segment. Here we go. It's a little fishy for you guys. Sponsor
Sweet.
Spotlight.
That's right.
Who do we got here that we could possibly talk about some product from one of our sponsors? I guess that's Mr. Little. So we'll have this new segment called Sponsor Spotlight. Every single live stream, we want to highlight a product, not just say, oh, Boondocks. No, we want to highlight a specific product that we as kayak anglers can really, I guess, what's the word? Just kind of like be made aware of, or why it's a good product that we all think all you guys out there should pay attention to and possibly go buy. So what do you got?
I'm editing a video now from last Friday. Got up on the Susquehanna, and I've been rigging out the Crescent Kayak Light Tackle 2 with the Groovy console, which is basically, a bar that goes across out in front of your footwell. Although I will debate it's going to be just as good behind your seat as a rod stager or on the sides, when you want to elevate whatever accessories on the side rails. But they have risers now that are just basically these two metal pieces that elevate and probably give you, I should measure it. I should know it, what it brings it up, but probably 5 or 6 inches. People are going to think of the console primarily as, hey, this is where I can put all my graphs out in front of me, right? And it's good for that, and it's super solid. It has, with the risers, it has a pretty wide base that, like, 2 pieces of hardware can go in track, or I actually put them directly into the hull with I want to say backing plates. I just used a couple of track nuts on the inside, and it tightened down really good. I can lift it by it and shake it, and there's no wobble in that at all. So go ahead and put some big graphs on there. But
I'm gonna put a picture of it up, Jeff, because I believe, or a video, because I believe you've shown it on your Instagram, right? Do you have a picture or just a video? I see a video here. I can share my screen and add that in
I've done some reels. I haven't finished the YouTube video.
So I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Is that better?
Yeah, that was at our new.
Yeah. So there you go.
A rigging and photo studio. So right there, you can see I'm using it as a rod stager more than anything. That's what I'm most excited about. We all put fish with multiple rods out in front of us, and with treble hooks or whatever it is out in front of you, you're in a river and there's stuff coming down. You're either catching leaves or branches. It's a good way to snap a rod, and you want, a certain length of line hanging. So as soon as you pick up that rod, it's ready to go ahead and cast. You don't want to reel the lure all the way up to the tip. Having your lures kind of hang there out of the, up off of the water surface. I don't know. A rod stager is important to me, especially with some of the more low slung boats. But what else do I have on there? I got the rotor grip for the net, although the one that it shows there is the standard one. I actually like the Yak Attack. It's the one for the parking pole. It's got the bigger wheels on it than that green one there. Obviously, track pack is on there. Then I got my camera mount, and I just put some T-bolts and wing knobs just to keep the rod from sliding off the end of it. So that's what makes it a rod stager. I think I ended up putting, which you don't see there, a Yak Attack tie-down eyelet to guide my anchor wizard line up and over it and keep that really clean and elevated. So it's deploying pretty good. So
love it, man.
I think the next one I'm gonna do is gonna be behind me, because I think I need some more horizontal rod storage behind me, and I think the Light Tackle 2 comes with 2 of those bases, and I need more than 2 rod holders. So I'm probably gonna put one across the back as well, like behind the seat.
Nice, man. That's a good product for sure, and a lot of cool new stuff I know is going to be coming from Boondocks, because I mean, Jeff, look at this comment up here. I mean, even Scott up here saying he's learning so much from watching all your videos. He's a new kayak angler. If anyone watches your stuff, I mean, you definitely know, you've been doing this a long time. You know what you're doing. There's no way in the world whatever you create with Boondocks isn't going to be a hit, because it's going to be something that you figured out while you're on the water. It's kind of like me when I design, like, kayaks or whatever. I'm literally just always thinking while I'm fishing, I wish this was here, or this was tweaked here, or this, if I had a way to do this, and it just ends up in a kayak. And that's the same, you're on the water a lot, so there's no doubt good stuff ahead from.
I'm gonna tease out some more preview there, without really showing our whole playbook of what we're working on. You talked about the kayak and being on the water. And I've kayak fished since 1998 and been in lots of different styles of kayaks, rigging them and just learning, I've fished in everything from a carbon fiber sea kayak to a true whitewater boat. And then recently these inflatables, I have all that insight for kayak fishing, the accessories you put on the boat. But my real expertise that's going to come into play is what we started this with. How many miles are you on the road, Jeff? How much of this country do you see? How much travel do you do? And the hardships that road life has brought, 47% of my time away from home and living on the road and switching from Airbnbs to hotels to really bad motels to I just give up and sleep in the truck. We're going to fix all that. And we're going to fix it for the tournament angler in particular, someone that wants to get back out onto the national trail.
Yeah, they're on the road all the time.
Yeah, constantly. People that are going to come to the Kayak Adventure Series are going to see some of what we're developing as it unfolds. And I'm one of the guinea pigs for it. Joe Comiati is another. He's on the road, is a sales rep for Boondocks, but also the tournaments that he does. He's going to be another crucible in making the right stuff. But knowing what's lacking, what are the hardships of road life? What is, what could make this easier and more cost effective? That's another thing. So many people that I talked to that in 2018 through 2021, that did all the national trails. Sometimes they did all three of them. And, they stopped in 22 and 23. Why? Well, the economy wasn't doing great. They're like, gas and groceries. I can't afford to travel as much as I did, and I miss it. Well, with what we're going to come up with, we're going to have fixed lodging costs and help you, have everything you need with you when you leave home. Everything you need. Park the truck right in front of the water. You got it all. That's it. That's the preview.
That's exciting. Nice, man. Well, I did want to mention, the only reason I pulled up that comment, Billy, was RJM Fishtails said it's like adding track to your kayak. That's why he likes the new Canoe Unlimited. A whole bunch of track to do whatever you can to get creative with. And anytime I'm practicing, just so you know, Billy, I'm practicing for when I'm on stage, emceeing the Kayak Adventure Series, when an angler's up there and he mentions a sponsor, New Canoe, big sponsor of the Kayak Adventure Series. We love those guys. I'm going to have to, be creative and organically pull, or if I know they fish out of a sponsor's product, or they use a certain sponsor's product, kind of organically pull those things out. So thank you for mentioning that. New Canoe's awesome, and the Unlimited definitely has a ton of track. So moving on,
we have the next segment is going to be, did you hear? I think there's something that happened recently that we might want to kind of hit on. Did you hear? Hot off the press. You want to say it, Drew?
Sure. Did you guys hear that the Hobie Bass Open Series is allowing motors? That's been all the talk lately. You guys want to take a couple minutes and get our thoughts. Hobie BOS adding motors. Yeah, except for two events.
I'll take a stab at it first. I think I have a Torqeedo, and then I also wired up my boat for an XI3. So I'm one of those guys that, if you're going to do the Drew has this vision of a decal, right, Drew, or a T-shirt with like the Inspector Gadget type of a kayak, and I'm okay with that, and that would be me. So I think, if it's human propelled only for a Hobie, I think it's actually, I think, a disadvantage. This is my opinion, a disadvantage to the guys that just have a paddle and they want to stay up shallow. Once you get a motor on your kayak, you're going to take off, and it's going to spread the kayaks out, I think. You can only pedal so much. And look, a motor, I mean, my Hobie with my Torpedo goes like 7 miles per hour. So I'm not burning across the lake at 40 miles per hour. So the advantage, I think, is sometimes there's a little bit too much put on that. I think it's better. And personally, I like it. I think it's good for the sport. What do you think, Jeff?
So I feel like with pedal drives and motors, the need for boats to be designed efficiently has kind of fallen off. And people feel like, oh, I can do this super wide kayak and have, because I got extra power, bigger muscle groups for sure with the pedal drive, and obviously the motor gives you a lot more. I don't know, like obviously I was with Torpedo for a long time, and did whatever I could to promote this, it started with something that I chose to do, and I was slow to coming to do it. I really was. Like I was anti-motor at some point. I was an ACA, certified instructor, which is something we got to talk about here in a little bit. Coming back to it, and what I will tell you is that motors are something that if someone doesn't learn the paddling skills, and I know I'm hijacking this away from the Hobie thing, but if someone doesn't have the paddling skills, but they have the motor or the pedal drive, they can get themselves kind of extended out into trouble, into rougher conditions, bigger waves, and if they don't know how to use the paddle, to save them, they're in trouble. And I really think that having the human powered skills for when things get rough in conjunction with a motor is a good thing to keep us safe. And the other side of it that I will say, and I'm just going to use the Mirage Drive as an example, because that is honestly, it's what Hobie was protecting by not having motor, because the Mirage Drive is just a brilliant design. It's a really great design, and they keep evolving it. And even when they get copied, they make a better version. And with any evolution of an innovative product, there's going to be some stumbling blocks and lessons learned and redesign and make it better. And I think they're doing that again with the 360. My take on it as an angler, I do like to use the motor to get to places quickly. In most cases, if it's in whitewater or on a windy day, I like to continue to use the motor at that lower setting. But there are times where I don't want the motor on. The ultralight 1103 is really quiet. It is not silent. Those fish hear it.
Yeah.
And when you're in close, whether you have a paddle in your hand or a Mirage Drive or some other pedal drive under you, that is a stealth aspect that still impacts good fishing, good catching of fish, because you're not spooking them. So to have the best of both worlds is pretty important. And I think this move towards it, is going to help people. It's going to help their totals in what people are catching, because they're able to cover more water. They're able to get to places that are more distant that they found in pre-fishing. And I've filmed a lot of people in different competitions in different in the different trails. And people do better. People put up better totals when they're able to cover more water. They really are. And unlocking that is just going to make it more fun for the people that are participating. It's also going to bring a lot of people back to Hobie Bass Open Series that have wandered away from it because they're just like, I really want to use my motor. So
yeah,
I think
for
once
sure.
you use that motor as a tool to help you on fishing day. I mean, I've even set my Torpedo to a really low speed, and I have the foot pedals, so I'm actually fishing, and it's truly hands free. Like the Mirage Drive with my 360, the idea was that it would be hands free, but I'm constantly adjusting my rudder, or I'm constantly and with my feet. I'm at low speed, and I can contour the bank and fish the bank if I want or whatever. But something else you said about being like quiet. I was watching YouTube. Shout out to Jeff Little's YouTube channel too. If you guys haven't watched out the ACA video that he put up, they allowed him to record a lot. Drew was there, Dustin Hoy, Snyder's. It was an amazing group. But I was watching Elite Series over the weekend, and he was like really shallow in his bass boat, and he got into his front hatch, and he lifted the hatch up to slowly lower it and then let the latch go. Kind of like if you're going into a bedroom or a room in your house and you don't want the door to slam, and you kind of turn the he was, and I noticed that he was like being very, very quiet. So I like that Jeff pointed out the motors they're quiet, but they're not silent. The fish aren't dumb. They didn't get big by being dumb. So if you're after
for
like
sure.
I actually got more to say on that. And I know, years ago, In Fisherman did this article on do trolling motor spook fish, and really they were hoping to maybe distill, okay, this model doesn't, this one is really bad at spooking fish, or maybe doing that product comparison. But really the big takeaway of it was basically, if it's on constantly, it's not going to spook them. As soon as you turn it on, turn it off, change intensity or change direction, that's spooking fish. If you're in that sort of shallow environment, or there isn't much wind, everything I just described is basically spot lock.
Yeah.
Food for thought.
Yeah. I mean, it's all good comments about this. It's big news in the industry for sure. I think they're allowing motors at all but 2 events. And I think if you're going to have designated launches, you kind of need, it's hard to get away. If you're, when you go to the Hobie events in the past, and, I did like the fact that it was manpower only. I wish there's a way to kind of could have kept that maybe, because I thought that made them kind of unique and different. And a lot of local clubs still have that as a rule. So they kind of like that. So I don't know what the numbers are, how many people would have preferred it to stay or not. I don't know. But if you have designated launches, it was hard. If you showed up to a launch at a Hobie event, there's 15, 20, 30 people there, whatever, you kind of knew you all found the same stuff because you were all fishing within 3-4 miles of the ramp. You know what I mean? Some people maybe go further, but most likely, because there's another ramp that would be, if you're going that far away, 4, 5, 6 miles, there's probably another ramp that was closer
Some
to
people
that
kayak
spot.
fish out of a sea kayak.
Yeah. Tried it one time in practice for the TOC. That was something funny. I did get a 25-inch Scupper Pro 14. I had that with me at the TOC, ready to roll and go a long way if I had to, but I never really found fish, further away. So I borrowed Justin Largen's ultralight, Crescent ultralight, because I didn't bring mine. Didn't think I needed it, but ended up using that. But anyway, I think it's cool. We'll see what happens. Wish them all the best. Some people think, again, the Kayak Adventure Series is all about promoting all kayak series, all trails. We love them all. We want to, talk about the stuff that's going on there too. So we'll see what happens with Hobie with that decision. And I'm excited to see, people out there fishing and having a good time. So.
Yeah. And I like how Jeff kind of went into talking about, people may think this or that. And I kind of threw up that graphic a little bit because I was trying to tease the next segment where we do myth or bust. So every time we do live, we want to do a myth or bust segment. So you guys know now that, yes, the motor will spook the fish. So that myth has been confirmed or busted. I'm not sure, but we have another one, Drew, and I'll throw out the myth, and then you guys can kind of tell me what you think about it. The Kayak Adventure Series is just another national trail. And now I have 4 trails that I have to choose from. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, like I just talked about, like you said, it's kind of a good lead in. Like it may be a national trail, but there's only 6. We're in every region just one time. So most people probably will fish the like 1 to 3. For our AOI, we count the best 3 events, but it's really just 2 of the regular season 5. Just 2. That's it. So you can easily fish the Kayak Adventure Series and then go fish all the other local national stuff you want, because if you even want to be in the AOI hunt, you just have to fish 2 of the 5 regular season events and then the championship, which, well, I got to stop ever saying championship, because that makes it sound like you have to qualify for it. Yes, we're awarding the team of the year and the angler of the year, but Broodstock, our finale, that's the better word for it, finale, is an open event there in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I feel like it's sort of a, because again, we're trying to promote all these series and get people involved, because our price point, and this is actually something on a news and notes segment, which we really didn't get into that one yet, but we are going to talk about this today. I wanted to bring it up. Dwayne Wally at Tourney X has said, he's working on separating that leaderboard out for our micro bag division. We talked about that, the smallest 5 division. That's kind of a fun category, and the biggest 5. So really, if you pay your $150 to be in the KAS event, you're automatically entered into both. However, Dwayne was saying, it might be kind of tight to get that leaderboard done in time for May. And I said, dude, don't stress about anything that extra we're adding on your plate. Don't even worry about it. It's like, let's just not do that and not make it together. Let's make it separate, because, and this could be a good thing. I don't know what you guys think, but it's a separate tournament now. So that it's going to have to be a separate tournament. So it has its own separate leaderboard, the micro bag is, which means we have a separate entry fee. So it might be $30 or $40, something low like that. But my whole point is, for as low as $30, if you just want to come be a part of our fun weekend festivities, the seminars, the festival, just see all the celebrities that, the kayak fishing celebrities and folks that, maybe you look up to there. And obviously the Sunday, we're going to have those ACA classes. We're going to, fun stuff like that. You could be in the whole thing for 20, 30, whatever, $30, $40, whatever we end up making the price of the micro bag division. Or you could be, if you want, you could join the team division, which is just $75 a piece for the 2-man team division, with $150 per team. So $75 a piece. Anyway, the point is, a Hobie and all the other ones, they're way up here in terms of like the elite series. They're the Major League Fishing. They're elite, top level competition. And yes, we will probably have some of those anglers fish, a few of our events, or 1 or 2 or whatever. But this is definitely a different type of event, festival, a lot of other stuff going on besides just this high competitive, tournament. So I feel like I'm going to bust that myth. That's not really true at all. So
there you go. I think you did a great job. I have one thought, and then I want to ask a different myth for Jeff. So Jeff, you're off the hook. If you had a thought about is Kayak Adventure Series just another trail, you're off the hook, because I have a smallmouth question for you. But I want to throw out first that I had the idea with Drew. I said something about the check that you get for the micro bag. It should be a micro check. Yeah. So you know how you have the big check? If you win the micro bag, you get a micro check. And then I started doing some of the math, and I was like, no matter if it's $20, $30, $40, whatever the entry ends up being for the micro, the check is going to be a good amount. I mean, it could be several $1,000s. Yeah. Depending on, how many people sign up and all that. So micro check.
Hey, it's this big, the check. Yeah. You're going to have to get it framed, and it'll be like, the frame will be this big, and there'll be this tiny little thing in there.
A micro check. I love it. All right, Jeff. Since it is, I have my Santa hat on, and for all the kids out there, Santa Claus is amazing. He's an amazing guy that does a lot of great things. He brings presents at night when you're sleeping. Since it is winter, all the smallmouth in the river, Jeff, don't they all like congregate in one area in the river? Is that a myth, or is that true?
It's not black and white like that. And yes, they do congregate in great numbers in certain areas. And really what that comes down to is that they're good areas that are, protected against current at really high levels and really low levels. If if they don't have a current block at the two extremes, they don't want to be there. But to look at it in terms of like they're all going to be in this hole or that hole, and this took a long time for me to figure out, and it honestly took me listening to other really good Winter River smallmouth anglers like Chris Gorsuch is a good example. That no, there are lots of places that there's onesie twosies, and they can be really good fish. I know on the Susquehanna, this has become the case much, much more because we have the flatheads that keep moving further and further upstream in that watershed, and they eat the smallmouth. They do eat the smallmouth. You especially see the scars, the half moon bite marks on both sides where one's gotten a hold of it. I know Joe Raymond, who's a guide up there, actually caught a flathead and pulled a legitimate 20-inch. He pulled it out of the gut. It was half decomposed and put it on a bump board, but it was like his sea deck measuring, and it was a 20-inch smallmouth. So for that reason, a lot of these big congregations of smallmouth on that particular river have scattered, and they're in places where like there'll be 4 or 5 of them here, and you go down to the end of the island and there's 2 more here, but then you go over to the other bank and yeah, you're going to get 6 or 7 or in this little eddy at the creek mouth or whatever. They do scatter around, but they have one thing in common, and that is that they have a current break at really high level, which we have right now, and also really low level. Now, I started to understand it a little bit more in terms of those, hey, you can catch, there's 3 fish on this bank, but not more than 3, but they're good ones. Or you move down a half mile and here's this gravel dump at a creek mouth, and yeah, there's about a dozen fish here. Instead of, hey, we're in this big, massive, eddy caused by a major ledge system, and you're sitting on top of like hundreds of them. That's not the only game in town. And really it was getting up with on the upper Juniata with Chris Gorsuch that, I knew of 2 good, big, like hundreds of smallmouth spots. And I'm like, are we going there? He's like, yeah, we can do that. I'm like, but like you said, that was hesitation. He's like, you catch 5 or 6, and then that whole school shuts down. And it's a much better game plan, especially when I was, with him in his jet boat. Hit this spot, then go up and hit this spot, and then run back down here to the end of the island, hit that spot, and then go to the other bank and hit the other spot. He's like, you're hitting fresh fish that when you release the fish back in, they get freaked out, looking like, oh, what happened to you? You don't look good. And they stop eating. He's like, I like moving around, and they're not all in that hole that you think they're in. So Chris is a full-time guide up there. He's I don't know. I think he might be the most brilliant river smallmouth angler I know. And for sure on that river, he's got it dialed in. It's his full-time profession. It's his lifelong passion, and he'll be another one of those idiots like myself that'll go out when it's slushy, when it's getting ready to lock up with ice. So no, they're not all
Myth busted.
Yeah, myth busted, but that's not to say that you shouldn't be looking for those big areas that have several dozen fish in one area. They're fun when you find them.
Yeah.
I will say this one more thing though. When you find those and you're happy that you figured one out, don't let that be the only place you fish. Go out and find others so that you can put them in a rotation, because you can bother them to the point that they tighten up. Yep. And daily, I don't say they're not catchable, but like
yeah, I've got an example of that,
go
Jeff.
ahead.
And here's the example. So this is kind of takes us to Shoalipalooza right there in Georgia, our first event. It's actually in South Georgia, though, on the lower Flint. There was a spot on the lower Flint that had imagine like a depth of 6-7 feet, but then all of a sudden some big limestone rock, it dropped off to about, I don't know, let's say 10. so that it creates a ledge right there. So they have a current break protection, and there's not a ton of rock and ledges and stuff like that. Those kind of features in the lower Flint. It's you're below the fall line, so it's more just sand and clay, and then but there is enough of this limestone there where shoal bass still survive very well. But they do supplemental stock. Georgia does to keep the populations high. Anyway, we get to this one spot one day, and it's out in the middle of the river. You would never know it's there unless you've seen the river in the summer and see the feature, right, where it's real low and clear. But in the winter, they would stack up there, and we could paddle just a quarter mile to get there from the ramp. No one would know it's there. The water's muddy in the winter, murky, and you just throw a giant swim bait out in the middle of the river, this one spot, and you get hammered. I mean, just giant. They were just stacked there, and we did this for a couple of years. And one time, we even went out on, the next day, and then we caught a 6. One day we caught like a 6.4, and the next day it was like a 6.3, and we looked at the picture of that fish, and it was the exact same fish. So it weighed, 1 ounce different, but it was the exact same fish. That's how aggressive they are, for shoal bass. So for anyone coming to Shoaly-Palooza, you're going to have a real fun time being right there in May when they're super aggressive, just on the spawn, just finish spawning some of them. Some of them haven't spawned yet, but they're very aggressive, and they congregate together. Anyway, long story short, once somebody told somebody, and a few more people started pressuring it, you can't go there and catch a shoal bass anymore in that hole. It used to be like they were just there every winter. That's where they went. And now they just stop. They're like, no, we're done. We've been pressured, and we feel it, and we're moving to find a new spot that's hidden out in the middle of the river that's, very similar probably.
Yeah, finding areas that most anglers overlook is just a fun thing. Sitting in a community hole or getting to a community hole and getting there and being like, man, there's already 3 kayaks on my spot. That sucks.
Yep.
And the only way you fight that is by always, learning new winter spots in particular, and opening your eyes to, hey, if I can just look for areas that have that, that current protection at high and low river flows, then you're going to be good. You'll always be able to find them.
So it's a great tournament tip too, by the way. It happens every season of the year. There's fish that other people aren't finding. So just a little tip here, since we're a tournament series. When I go practicing for any tournament, I'm fishing Bassmasters or Hobie, KBF, whatever it is, I spend all of my practice, like almost 100% of it, looking for something that is invisible that no one else can find, which is why, when you were with me on the Susquehanna River, for example, I never went to my school of like 100 smallmouth. It was out in the middle of the river that no one found. I never went to that second location that I had as my backup spot. It's a good backup spot, I know, having a giant school of smallmouth, but for other reasons, I went to the spot that I took you, and it worked out, whatever I was, 5th place or whatever. So I can't complain. I lost big fish, but I spend the majority of all my practice looking for features and structures and somewhere where our fish are that I know I will most likely have all to myself, because they are on underwater structure that's not visible. Even though I love fishing visible structure, that's the kind of angler I am. I'm a river angler, and I love that, but I still look for something that's hidden, because then you probably have it all to yourself. And then worst case, you don't find something like that, you can always go find fish, just fly around and power fish the stuff that's visible, and probably maybe do okay and learn more, or figure out more of a pattern during the tournament. So
how many people were in that tournament?
Oh, probably 130.
Yeah.
And
I think legitimately you had maybe 3 or 4 that were fishing the same water you were, and it was only like a short part of the day. Like they were moving through and hit a couple spots. Maybe one of them was on, a couple of spots proper, but
so even the spot I found was pretty hidden. In my little area was still not as hidden as the other spot for sure. But no, that's a good tournament tip that you guys could, once you get a little confident in your ability to catch fish around the bank. And again, that's what Brian Thrift does. He always says that he never practices on the bank. He always looks offshore for something magical. That's how tournaments are won, is this magical thing that no one else is on. They're rarely won just junk fishing around the dock here, brush pile here that everyone knows is there, community hole, point, this point. The back of this creek, it's kind of like you can just go around the lake and catch fish doing that if you actually absolutely have to, because you didn't find anything. special or hidden. But that's a good point, good tournament tip, and a good segue.
Yeah, and then Jeff
That's
also,
ideal, but I will say that retread fishing is a tournament strategy.
Oh yeah, that is for sure. I hate that it is, but it is.
You were saying, Billy?
yeah, there's some videos with on the Little Stuff YouTube channel where Jeff went out with Jody Queen and filmed a lot of really great tips. So anyone out there listening that's like me that says, "Oh, that's great," offshore for small, like what are you talking about? You're in a river. It looks like there's nothing out there. There's some tips. I found out that I was skipping a lot of really good spots, push water spots. Just go watch some of those videos with Jody Queen and Jeff Little. I can't believe, like, I feel like we should have to pay for those YouTube videos. That was some really good information. You guys gave up the
Absolutely.
juice.
Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah, I love that.
I did want to say real quick about this Tackle Talk podcast, fishing. Andrew Hayes from Tackle Talk, he said, here in Dayton, all of our spots are now community holes. I don't know where all these people came from. And Andrew, one of these days, maybe if you and I do a podcast, one of these days I do want to go on another big kind of national podcast that speaks to the bass anglers as well and talk about my sports management background. It just kills me. I want to talk about these other issues with the sport of fishing as a whole. And man, there's a lot to dive into on why you now have community holes that are, just people are everywhere, because the short version of it is you just can't make new rivers. You can't just, golf courses, if it gets popular back in Tiger Woods days, soccer, any sport, you just, there's some land, let's go build a new one of those. Okay, our sports, we have a demand, we got to meet it. Fishing, it just can never happen. So as we keep trying to grow fishing, you're going to see that happen just naturally, because it's a fun sport. And if we continue to grow it, it's just, your golf courses are going to get full and you can't make new golf courses. So the only way, in my opinion, to do it, it's where kayak fishing is such a beautiful thing. And the Kayak Adventure Series, with our rule format where you can fish up all creeks, rivers, and all this water, that's the only place we really have to go anymore, because you're not making new reservoirs. They're just not happening. So anyway, you almost got me on a real big rabbit hole, and maybe we can touch on it a little bit. But
it's
Andrew, you almost got
all those damn YouTubers' fault.
Yeah.
and it is. It is. I'm one of them. And and I know on the Susquehanna, I try to move around a lot so that people aren't like, oh, he always goes there or whatever. And I do hit the same spots in the same videos, but I know in season, I try to move it around as much as I can. But I had a subscriber. This was about a year ago. I was down in Tennessee fishing a small river, and I named it. And I didn't say specifically where I was on the river, but it was a smaller river. And I made what I thought was a good video, and it was a place I'd never been before. And I did okay. I had a pretty decent day for having never been in that river. But one of my subscribers called me out on it and said, listen, every small river is someone's home water, and maybe your naming it wasn't totally cool. And it hit home for me, because I was like, he's right. Yep. And I routinely really, try to say, look, it's patterns, not places. If I can teach you a pattern, teach you a skill set, that's always better. But there's an element of BS in there, because everyone who pre-fishes is looking for the right place. They're looking for a productive place. And even if you're just, you're weekend warrior, fun fishing, you're always looking for the next really good place. And that is a process. And hopefully I can teach that process, so my viewers and subscribers can find their own new places. That comment, that theme of patterns, not places, really comes down to when somebody, finds a community hole, or somebody shows them a spot, and that's all they do is keep going back to that spot because they're like, it's going to work here. Really good anglers have a ethic of adventuring, or ethic of exploration, of always wanting to find new new water. And if you do that, it's really rewarding because
It is.
you don't have to go to community holes. You don't have to always beat up on the same fish. And just to be honest, it's just more thrilling for me to catch an 18-incher in a section river I've never been on before than it is to catch another 19 up on the Susquehanna. It really is.
Yeah. Oh, 100% agree. For sure. All right.
All right. We have a segment called the main event. And I'm going to be honest. What were we doing with that?
The main event is really just Jeff Little here talking about all the stuff he's going to be doing with the Kayak Adventure Series. So we can sort of, this is where you could get into what you're doing with, boondocks, or what you're doing with the ACA classes or seminars, which, by the way, if you guys hit up Andrew, I'm going to try to get from Tackle Talk Podcast, who just made that comment, try to get him because he is one of the best. That's one of the best podcasts out there. He's such a well-spoken, an educator, kind of like Jeff here, that I think it'd be really cool to have him come to one of these. He's not too far away from some of them. I'm going to probably talk to him on Friday about it. But yeah, definitely go check out his podcast. And now is the time for Jeff, you just touch on whatever you want to touch on with the Kayak Adventure Series and why you're excited about it and all the different things you're going to be doing there.
Sure. We've already talked about boondocks, and I'm gonna have some of our new product, and I'll probably have some prototypey stuff, along the way that isn't quite done yet, and then I'll have stuff that is, hey, this is it, and it's for sale, it's ready to go. Enough said on that, but this thing right here, the American Canoe Association certification, which I first certified in 2001, and recertified with you, Drew, and Russ and Wade and Dustin and Kevin down on Lake Allatoona. So we all got, a certification as a paddling instructor, but we also got the kayak fishing endorsement, which is kind of an add-on that really means that we can teach this to anglers and kind of craft our own lesson plan with fishing specific skill sets that we're doing on top of the paddling skills and the water safety and the things that not just beginners need to know. I think a lot of people are going to look at it and say, I can already use a paddle. Why do I need that? And I would say one of the things I filmed in the video, where I think you actually pulled some of the video out and made
actually have that here. You want to show it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I got it here. And actually,
we'll talk about boat positioning afterwards.
Before we do that, I want to bring in Alex's comment, because look at the very end of his comment real quick. And, he says, I'll just read it. First kayak I ever owned, I slapped a motor on it, LOL, but Jeff's right. Always best to know the basics, but I don't buy this motors are spooking more fish than paddles. LOL, paddler splashes. Well, I would beg to differ, Alex, because as Jeff and I know, when you go through this course being taught by, high-level paddlers, whitewater paddlers, you can paddle without making a sound. I even drips hardly even coming off your paddle. When you're doing it right with the right form, I believe a motor would certainly spook more fish than the, not to mention the potential electrical currents and all that they could feel, since, I don't know, there's debate if that's true or not. But I wanted to mention that comment, Jeff, because I think you would agree with me that you can be way quieter and do things with a paddle, like moving your boat directly sideways, for example, which I'm going to show in this clip here, that you cannot do with a motor. So not only is it quieter, it can do things a motor can't. And it's always good to have it and be using it in conjunction with a motor as well. So let me just share this video file real quick, and you can see what I'm talking about, because I just got it on my computer. You should hear the audio, I believe.
To learn how to do.
And Drew,
Drew,
give me something you've learned that really relates.
Oh, sorry. I thoup you were talking to me now. You're in the video.
That's pretty cool to learn how to do.
And Drew, Drew, give me something you've learned that really relates to helping you with fishing.
Well, the slice and draw is good because you can slice Russ's line when he catches a big one. You can just slice it and then. I don't think, anyway, no, for fishing, honestly, it's mostly, for me, I preach this a lot in the classes I do. it's all just boat control, which helps you have better boat positioning, which helps you make the right cast and the right presentation, keeping your bait in the strike zone longer. And honestly, it's a lot of like efficiency, saving your muscles and your energy for the cast and everything else to last all day long. So most people really don't do any of this stuff in the proper form, but man, once you learn it, it's not as hard as you think, not using as much energy as you might think.
So boat positioning is probably, I film a lot of people competing. I film you, Drew, and Russ and Christine, and I've filmed a lot of people over the years, and people that routinely cash checks. I watch them and notice that they do something that not everyone does, and that is to make sure that their boat, when it's here, but in order to skip that Senko, all the way under the dock, they got to be here. And that sculling draw that you did, and that was just an example. It could be threading a needle between two cypress trees, or you got overhanging branches and you want to skip something way underneath there, or even, take away skipping. Say that that the laydown is like this, and you want the bait to go right along the whole thing. So you're dragging the jig out as you back up, and you wait till your cast is going to go right along whatever linear structure. Could be grass line, could be a ledge, could be anything. Boat position first. If you get your boat in the right position, your boat's going to be in the strike zone longer, and you're just going to have the right presentation. And there's a lot of different ways to do that, but the paddle is probably your most most agile in that aspect.
It's critical.
I would argue though that the motor in conjunction with and I know they've had trouble with the drive, but that 360 drive, watching Jody Queen up on Lake on Candlewood in Connecticut, like getting a really tight spots between docks with like massive crazy boat wake, and like there was only room for him to get in there. And he's pulling out fish that like no one else wants to fish that because it's a washing machine. The 360 drive did really well in conjunction with the motor. Most people, I don't know, like that's another way to do it. But everyone's got a paddle, and if you learn how to use the paddle to boat position effectively, it's really going to help you catch more fish.
And we're going to be doing these classes, right? I mean, that's where you kind of dive into, the Sundays after the event's over, because our events are they end on Saturday night, so this leaves Sunday open for you guys to travel home if you have a long drive,
right? Or
to take a course from. We'll get our schedule out whenever we get it figured out. But from Jeff, from myself, Russ, Snyders, you got Dustin Hoy, Wade, like I said, Jameson earlier. Who knows? We can even drag Chuck Earls maybe to one of these events, Jeff. So anybody that's already been certified by the ACA, we can certainly bring them in, do a class. And like you said, Jeff, it's not like we're just teaching a class of just paddle strokes and safety. It's like, here's why and how this is going to help you catch more fish. And we will also be sprinkling in general fishing education as well. That's nothing to do with what we already know, obviously. But yeah, I'm excited about having you do some of those on Sunday, and even do some of the Friday seminars on our breakfast seminar series on the Fridays for Kayak Adventure Series. They'll be held that morning.
I think for the seminars, one of the things that I want to do a seminar in is just pattern development in the structure of when you catch a fish, you go to the spot, you make observations about the location, what is the depth, the current, the cover structure, just whatever. And then you make observations about your presentation. So location plus presentation, what was the profile? What was, and people go right to color, even though that's way down on my list. How fast was it moving? And did you pause it? How long was the pause? Was it on the surface, in the middle, or on the bottom? Like, and then you look for commonalities when you catch a second, third fish. Okay, it's all on the bottom. They're only eating on the bottom. And they're going to eat a crankbait that's moving, and then they're also going to eat the jig that's on the bottom, but it's all on the bottom. And I think they're going after craws, and it's this kind of bottom substrate. Then you're tightening in on what areas you need to be focused on and what presentation are going to work in those areas. And that, that is something that I think in doing a seminar, I can tease out some things from people's pre-fishing experience and really teach us, that sort of thing. But that is something that, you work into a kayak fishing class with a ACA certified instructor.
It's gonna be awesome.
Other people are going to bring different aspects to what that. I know, Drew, you're probably going to cover a lot on tournament strategy.
Yeah, for sure. Chris's comment right there said he would love to see one in Virginia, and I know that these instructors, you got Wade is from Yak Attack, is in Virginia, so he might do some, but I don't know when he's offering his or how he's getting the word out about any classes he's doing. But all we know is that, that you guys need to know is that the Kayak Adventure Series on those Sundays, we will have people doing those. I would think at every one, honestly. But so Chris, try to get to one of the Kayak Adventure Series events. You're kind of in between the Susquehanna event and the Shoalipalooza, the first one in Georgia in May. And by the way, I put the website up at the bottom, kayakadventureseries.com. I put it up earlier because somebody in the comments asked if there was a website up or where they find out about the event. So you can't register for them yet. That'll start in January, but the website is up, kayakadventureseries.com. And
can I
go ahead.
Just make a delineation? When I do the classes on Sunday, that's going to be with me, and you're going to pay me for the class. When I do the seminars, that's part of Kayak Adventure Series. Right. Anyone can attend. What we're certified to teach is a group of 5. And now if there's 2 instructors, we can do a group of 10. Right. Those of us that have invested our time and money into earning the certification, in doing the things you need to do with the ACA to get their liability insurance, all of that has a cost. And each of us are, in essence, starting a business as instructors. So that Sunday after doing those classes really is separate from the event, but it's going to be at that location. So it's convenient for people to stay after and do that. The seminars are totally different and that's going to be part of the experience of a Kayak Adventure Series event. And, that's something that lots of people can partake in. But in terms of the ACA classes, it's a limit of 5 per instructor.
Probably a good time also to say that if anyone that didn't see the first live stream that we did, we recorded that and that's available online, where we broke down kind of we went through the process of Kayak Adventure Series, and
give us a refresher just for the sake of.
For sure. And I want to point out another thing. When you're learning something new, you have the experience, exposure, and education. And the education piece, in my opinion, is like 10% of how people learn. So the experience and the exposure is huge. And when you can go on YouTube. Yeah, you can read a book. That's that 10%. You need the experience. A lot of times as anglers, we call it time on the water. But what you're really paying for is not just the education. You're paying for the exposure. And that's why if you find a podcast like Tackle Talk, or you find a website like The Little Stuff, and you find those people, they're not just educating you, you're getting a bit of exposure and their personal experience. So I love that they keep them small, no matter if it's for liability reasons or whatever, but you're really getting exposure from the personal experience of the instructor. So no matter if it's Chuck Earls or Jeff Little, whoever's teaching you, anyone that's ever been out on Lake Erie with Chuck Earls, from the moment you launch your boat, he's talking and he's telling you things, and that, he could make a video. Chuck could make a video of all the things he'll say to you on the water, but when you're on the water and you're actually doing it, it's different. So,
I have some of those videos of Chuck.
Yeah.
If you look at the walleye playlist, there's a lot of Chuck in there. So.
Yeah. I guess take my money now on Sunday is what I'm saying. I'll be one of the first to sign up, if I attend, multiple events. So
they're going to fill up fast for sure.
Yeah.
So like you said, 5-1 is the ratio, and hopefully we'll have maybe 2 or 3. So that's maybe 10 or 15 people that can do it. That's it. But you guys in the comments can let me know, and Billy, Jeff, you let me know too. On our Friday seminars, I'm still debating on, do we make the breakfast included and we charge $30 or $40, and a portion of it goes to helping get the speakers there, helping cover their lodging and stuff like that. Or do we leave it where someone brings in the breakfast and everyone pays individually? It's $10 a plate or whatever it is, $10 for the buffet of pancakes and eggs or whatever. And then they donate. There's a donate jar to, you may get more if you just leave it open to people for the food, the seminar, and knowing that it's going to support the local river keeper. You know what I'm saying? That you might get more that way. I don't know. So I'm debating on how to kind of do that. So you guys can make a comment. Basically, we're just trying to raise as much money as we can for the local river keepers, because we're raffling off a kayak at each event for the pediatric cancer. But these seminars is one of the ways we're going to raise money for the local river keepers in that area. So anyway, yeah. Timothy Thompson, future microbag winner, checking in.
all right.
Anthony, I'm going to get to yours. I'm going to get to your question here at the end of the show too, in our news and notes segment. We got a couple other things we got to get to, but I see you. I haven't forgot it. I saw you. What is Nick? Anything else about Jeff that you want to touch on? You're doing the seminars. You're doing on Friday the Boondocks booth you'll have at the festival. You'll kind of be there. You're also going to be doing the Sunday stuff, but on actually tournament days, you're going to be out on the water following some people, right?
Yeah. And we haven't really nailed down who, but the idea is just that I'm out there, not competing, but filming and really telling the story of this series so that we have a bigger party next time. Really, that's it. And, I really do see this as a big party. Yes, it's a tournament, but it's a big party. And, I think really bringing our community together and helping it grow in that way, where we make those connections from people that aren't local to us, but we enjoy seeing them 6 times a year in different locations on great fisheries. I think that's just a lot of fun, and having it be a big party instead of
So we're going to see you in the
I
bouncy
put
house.
I put $250 or $200 out, and I just donated it to the same 6 people or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sometimes that happens.
Wait, grown-ups in the bouncy house?
Yeah. Yeah.
That seems like a great idea.
Exactly.
Keep
We may have a
bouncy house.
Yeah, we have to get a big insurance policy to have these bouncy houses there. So please, nobody, just keep it to the kids, which is enough insurance already, potential claims. But yeah, let's keep it, civil at the party. Let's don't drink too much. But anyway, have a good time. Come to these events. Like you said, it's just a fellowship, the camaraderie. It's something, I've been missing. We've kind of been missing a little bit. So that's, again, differentiating from, back to your myth question, from the other series that already have some incredible stuff going on. We want to make sure we're definitely different than those, and they have a fellowship as well, but this is focusing like pretty much more on the fellowship than even the competitive fishing side of things, with all the other stuff we have going on, the education and the fellowship. It's going to be fun. I can't wait to see you guys at these. Man, I guess so. Yeah, Jeff, you're going to be filming the leaders. Just so you know, on Saturday you'll be filming one of the top 3 anglers for sure. You'll be on somebody in the top 3, and it's for a couple of reasons. On Friday, we don't know who's in the lead yet. The tournament starts, Friday afternoon, that little afternoon sesh of 4 hours. We'll probably put you with somebody who we feel is one of the favorites. Maybe it's their home water or someone that wants to, say, hey man, I'm on some fish. You guys want to come film? You're welcome to, if they would like that exposure. A lot of these anglers do have sponsors, so we'll give them some exposure by filming them on Friday, and then if they're still in the lead, we'll send somebody out with them on Saturday. But yeah, that's kind of who you'll be filming. That also keeps, just so everyone knows, that keeps, when you have guys out there filming, whether we're probably gonna have 2, 3, 4, 5 at each event, it also helps keep the event, sort of keeps the honesty kind of thing going. You're gonna have people out there, you don't know where they're gonna be, and if the top anglers are on fish, if you're really on fish and not up to something sketchy, which I don't feel like anybody really, it's very rare that this stuff happens. I think people worry about it more than it actually happens. But anyway, if you're filming, you're not going to be able to get away with anything if someone's right there on you. So which is why they have marshals in the Bassmaster Elite Series or cameramen. It kind of helps keep it honest. We can't have somebody with every single angler, but you don't know where Jeff's going to be and all these folks are going to be. And trust me, no matter how crazy or wild you think you're put in, your access is, Jeff will be there with his, inflatable osprey and he'll take it wherever. So you're not going to be alone if you think you are. So that's the other reason why we have folks out there, eyes on the water a little bit.
That's right. And we still have access to the Black Hawk helicopter from Dust Off if we need it.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Which I saw he was in the comments there saying we should include it all in our I don't know what price point that means, but basically I think he's saying include it all with the food, the donation, just make it a flat $40 to come to one of those seminars or $50 or whatever it is. And it covers your food. Phil Robertson saying, hey, make it $40 kegs and eggs. That's a pretty good idea. Kegs and eggs, man. Maybe we do end afternoon. We start around 10, but we end it's afternoon. So once noon hits, I think that's kind of the rule. You can start drinking, right? I don't know. Some people would argue you can start at any point, but so Garrett Pay, what's up, man?
And keep the comments coming in like every time we do this, because we do go back and read the comments. We got a lot of really good ideas for the myth or bust. So keep those comments coming. We'll read them and we'll include some of them in future episodes.
Yeah, that's right. If you have something that you want to have busted, eventually we're going to have a call-in number too. You guys can call in and we'll play your, or even call you live on air. So we'll see. A lot of fun stuff coming on the scene. You can see we've already got these little graphics now we've been putting up for the segments. Eventually we're going to have a little audio that goes with that graphic as we introduce it. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's about it. I mean, we got just a couple news and notes, unless you have anything else, Jeff. We have a couple news and notes we're going to tackle. So we'll do that. News and notes presented by Omnia Fishing. And guys,
very cool app, by the way.
Very cool
fishing app. Yeah.
It's amazing. And we definitely need to fix that, make that where you can see it. But that's a bummer. We'll get it better. But there we go. Omnia Fishing right there. It's a great app. That's what's cool about Omnia. It's not just a place to buy tackle. And on their website, they have like lake specific tackle suggestions, and area, region specific. Plus they've got this new app, and Jeff's showing it right there. And they got the pro, you can level up and pay for like a pro series on their app. And I'm just kind of getting involved with them. And the Kayak Adventure series is actually going to have its own codes. You guys can log in and we can get credit for that. So we'll bring that up next show. But the news and notes I have here, guys. Okay, people have been making comments. Yeah, there it is, Jeff. That's cool.
I think I got the wind and the air temp, and that's somewhere up on the Susquehanna. But there's a lot of cool different things you can do. I know when I did the video with you, I kind of showed some of the things with the water temp and
yeah,
it has like a bottom substrate feature, and I don't know, there's cool things on that.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna look it up. I might be able to pull up our code or get you guys a discount or whatever now. But if I find it real quick, I'll pull it up. But I did want to mention that the news and notes. So one person over here in the comments was asking about the website. So kayakadventureseries.com. Another one. I started that comment. Let's see. It's Anthony was saying, how does an influencer get involved with the Kayak Adventure Series? Well, it's pretty easy. You go onto the website, kayakadventureseries.com, click on partners, and there's one that says content creators. And you can click on that, and it takes you to a form that you can fill out at the bottom. And I can even share my screen real quick. And you can even fill it out. And if you meet the requirements, we'll promote you on the website like this. But even if you don't, please fill it out, because we would love to have you guys at any of the events, and we can still find ways to team up and work together. But yeah, you just fill out this form right here, guys. Go to the bottom if you want to be featured. And there's a lot of cool opportunities if you're a content creator that's working with us that we will do for you and could possibly do for you. So we appreciate all you guys. You work hard out there. You don't get paid nearly enough for what you do, because it's so much time to edit and make content like that. I get it. So that's one way you can get involved. So local clubs, you can do the same thing. There's a joint event form on the website. But yeah, this is the website, guys. So check it out. It's all up there. We added a contact page. We forgot to have that. So someone noted that we needed that. So we just added that as well. And There you go. Other news and notes. I'm trying to think here. Billy had it on the side, I believe, in the chat. Let's see. Oh, here we go. So we've talked about. We did talk about Dwayne at Tourney X. Yeah, it's a separate tournament for the micro bag, so I think that's a good thing. I mean, what do you guys think? That's gonna be pretty cool having a separate event, like you said. I think we maybe covered that one enough already. And then the other one was, I think we may have done most everything on here. Honestly,
we covered the.
We did cover it.
Yeah,
all the stuff. Yeah, I think we did. Good. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the sections that we have as we go through and we bring up the different headers and we go, but organically the conversation, especially on a live stream, if we were going to go back and edit this, but on a live stream, I love the way that it works out. And then, Jeff is natural at that anyway, just kind of flowing with, between the conversation stuff. So I think it worked out good.
Hi, Dan.
Too, yeah, Dan Arbuckle's on. What's up, Dan? Yeah, out west. Maybe we can get a Kayak Adventure Series event out west. Dan and I talked about that a little bit. That'd be cool to be out there. There's some great wild places out there. You got the Delta, you got lots of cool smallmouth rivers in Northern California and Oregon. So that's definitely on the radar if we can kind of grow this thing for the future. So yeah, I think that's about it, man. The last thing I was going to say is you got a shout out here to Chris Johnson. He's heading out because he has to go to Journey Outdoors to pick up his wife's ink Sholey, which is the new, it's a purple color we call ink. So
it's a cool shop in Lexington, Virginia. I run up and down 81 quite a bit, and I like stopping in and seeing Brian and Christina. They had a cool shop. Their son at ICAST with that, with that light tackle too that I had motored up. Like we got towards the end of the day and like he was ripping around in it and he came back to the dock and I was like, what are you doing? There's no one waiting. And he just kind of looks at me like I can go back out and keep ripping donuts. Like, yeah, go. So he had fun, but it's a really cool shop down there.
Yeah, it's a great shop, man. Shout out to Dark Horse Tackle. They're in the house here at the very end, checking in on their lunch break in Pittsburgh. And then I got to say, Thomas Griffin, Texas River Junkie, I saw your comment earlier that you're coming to Sholey-Palooza. I mean, dude, you're way out there in like central West Texas. It's a long trip. But honestly, we want the Kayak Adventure Series to be able to pull people from long places. Because trust me, Jeff, you know this as well as I do. We fished all over the country. When you take the extra time to go that extra, let's say you have a trip that's to a place that's okay, like 7 hours away. But when you take the time to go that extra 4 or 5 hours, there are places that we've not yet explored in the tournament world. And based on our format and our rules, that the way we do it with rivers, creeks, sort of it's not like a radius, but basically kind of is within an hour, right, of the headquarters. Man, we are going to uncover some places that are magical, epic, and they are well worth the extra 2, 3, 4, 5 hour drive. Trust me, Thomas, you will not be disappointed, and you will catch your very first shoal bass there. That'd be exciting.
Say his Instagram.
Texas River Junkie.
Yeah, I found his account recently. He's got some cool stuff on there.
It's incredible. I mean, the rivers out there are just amazing. That turquoise blue water, and I've fished some of them like the Devils and the Frio, and I can't remember all of them. The Guadalupe. I fished a lot of it, but some of the ones that are really just it's just the craziest landscape of turquoise blue, brown, sand colored, like desert, but then greenery because the trees, the only thing growing near the rivers, you got all the green from the trees right there. It's wild. It's beautiful, crystal clear water, giant bass. I mean, he says he's going 16 hours. So that's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Honestly, I thought it could have been even further, but it'll be well worth your time, man. You're going to have some fun catching your first shoal bass and knocking that one off the bucket list. So I could sit here and talk to you guys through the comments all day. I know we got to wrap up. We try to keep these to an hour and a half at max, and we're at 118, but guys, love everyone. I love you guys out there. And Billy and I were talking about how do we end these podcasts? We need like something to do, and we're going to keep getting this dialed in and getting it better. But
I got one.
Yeah,
I got one.
Yeah.
Hope you all have been good because Smalley Claus is coming to town. Merry Christmas.
There we go. That is a good way to end it for this episode. One. And we'll come up with our standard ending, but Billy, what do you think? I mean,
Yeah,
we talked
I don't
about
know.
some.
I think we just end it with, I'm Billy Kayaks. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Drew Gregory and drewgregory.com. Jeff, tell everyone where they can find you.
Yep.
The little stuff on YouTube, also the little stuff on Facebook, and Jeff Little Kayak Fishing on Instagram.
All right. And then I guess to end it, we'll just say that Kayak Adventure Series, KAS, if your kayaks are simple, kayaks are sophisticated, it's up to you to choose which one you want and choose your own adventure. Have a great week, everyone. Smalley Claus is coming to town.
Ho, ho, ho.
Have a great week.
See
Merry
ya.
Christmas. Happy New Year.